What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with the third and final part coverage of Hakes Lot 236 auction results from earlier this week. And we've got a pretty wide range of Return of the Jedi cards. We got some proof cards. We have some Power of the Force Last 17 figures. And I've got so many of them that we're going to be kind of going through them pretty rapid fire because I've just got so much to go through. Before I dig in any further, I want to say thank you to Matthew Porter. He is my latest Patreon supporter. Thank you so much, Matthew, for joining the Patreon ranks. For those interested, it's patreon.com/actionfiguregrader. All right, let's dig into the third and final round of items, and we're going to start with one of the most amazing items that was in this batch, and that is a 48 back transition card free Neon Numb, but this is a Leia poncho with a pink camo, pink indoor poncho, and so this would be like a salesman sample. The crazy thing about this is that this made it out to retail. It's got a $279 price sticker on it, but this is very clearly not a production figure. So this is a prototype sample that was miscarded, obviously, on an Imperial Stormtrooper card back just to show what it would look like. And then, you know, salesmen would take it around to toy purchasers and show them an example of this Leia figure that's going to be coming out. And so what's incredible is that it made it out to retail. I mean, that's just an incredible story. And it almost makes this item better because it had that price sticker on there. But you can see that pink prototype poncho there. It was graded AFA 60, but the grade doesn't really matter when you're talking about something this rare. Now, the value code on it was $20,000 to $35,000. And the final winning bid was $42,834. So just an incredible item. You got a first shot prototype on a miscarded on a sample card back. And it had that price sticker, just an unbelievable item. And that price certainly did not disappoint. So just a mind-blowing final figure that blew past the upper end of the value code from Hakes. As always, for all of these items, it's the winning price, I'm going to quote, includes the 18% buyer's premium. Now, we got a bunch of Revenge of the Jedi proof cards. For those of you unaware, obviously the movie was going to be called Revenge of the Jedi instead of Return of the Jedi. And a lot of these proof cards made it out in Kenner's production process before the movie was changed to Return of the Jedi. And so a number of them did sell at auction. The only one I've got in my collection is a Cloud Car pilot graded AFA 80+. But here's the Luke Bespin. It was graded AFA 85. This one sold for $5,566. So a pretty incredible number. We're going to be going through a lot of these pretty rapid fire just because there's so many of them. Here was the Princess Leia, same thing, Revenge of the Jedi card, AFA 85. That one sold for $8,024. That blew well past the value code of $2,000 to $5,000. And again, it's a last 17 figure. Princess Leia on a Return of the Jedi card back by herself can go for $2,000 or $3,000, just a standard retail release mint on card. So $8,000 took home that proof card. Pretty jaw-dropping price. Next up was Yoda on an AFA 90 proof card. That one sold for $4,283, so towards the upper end of the Hakes value range. The Hoth Rebel Soldier, AFA 85, that one sold for $2,284, so again, above the value range. It seemed like the last auction, the value codes were not met for these revenge proofs. This was not the case for this batch. Everything seemed to go at or above the range, and this one was an 80+ grade. It seems like once you get below an 85 grade for these proof cards, that holds the price down pretty well. This one sold for $1,298, so towards the lower end of the range. But again, I think it's because it's an 80+ and not an 85 or above, where most proof card collectors like to stay. Here was an AFA 85 Star Destroyer Commander proof card. That one sold for $2,855, so again, well above, probably 40% above, 50% above the value code there. Next up was an AT-AT Commander AFA 85 proof card. That one sold for $2,206. So again, it just seemed like for this batch, most of them went well above. Here was an AFA 80 Death Star droid, and I expected this one to kind of stay 1,200, 1,300-ish. But it's a harder to find proof card, has been my experience. Obviously, I'd love to have this one, given that I do have a nice run going for mint on card Death Star droids. But this one sold for $2,019, so right above the upper end of the value code. To me, I wouldn't pay that price, but you know, it is a tougher to find variant. But AFA 80, I was thinking more like $1,500. But it seems like the bidding and the shark circling on these proof cards seem to be in full effect. The Bosk AFA 85, obviously this is the one I want the most. This one sold for $2,854. So I was hoping $2,200 maybe, just to give me some hope for the future, but it blew well past that number at $2,854 and way more than I would ever want to spend. But a good data point for Blacked Out Ewoks. He owns an AFA 85 Revenge of the Jedi proof card for Bosk, and that lets you know what it's worth now. So that was a good investment from my fellow YouTuber and good buddy, Blacked Out Ewoks. Here was the Zuckuss AFA 80 Plus. This number really surprised me. I was thinking maybe $1,000 to $1,100. It sold for $1,998. $1,998, so almost $2,000 for an AFA 80 Plus Zuckuss proof card. Forlam AFA 85, that one sold for $1,817. And again, they've bounced off the lows. Those Revenge of the Jedi proofs kind of hit a low point at the last Hakes auction, or the last two. But they've really bounced off that. They've jumped way up here in this last batch of auctions. The Hammerhead AFA 80 Plus, that one sold for $2,242. So just another really surprising price for one that is below an AFA 85. Just in general, I was expecting kind of $1,000 to $1,500 for most of those that were graded AFA 80 or 80 Plus, but that was not the case for some of them. The Walrusman AFA 85, that one sold for $2,097. $2,097. The R5D4, this was an 85 plus, so I knew this one was going to be well outside of my comfort level, and it actually stayed in a reasonable number. It sold for $21.24, which is at the lower end of the value code. I was expecting it to go higher, quite honestly. I was thinking more like $3,000 for an 85 plus, and for a first 21 figure. It seems like R5D4 has its moments with collectors. I certainly love R5D4, but that came in a little bit lower than I expected, quite honestly. Next up was the Ugnaught, and I expected this one to stay low. This one was an AFA 85. It just seems like most people don't care about the Ugnaught that much. That one sold for $14.27. I think that was a very fair price. Death Star Droid. This is a free Neon Numb 48 back. It was yellowed, graded AFA 80. I thought this was a great buy. It sold for $519, kind of towards the lower end of the value code. I would have paid that all day long. It's just tough to find this transition card. Now, if this had been a clear blister AFA 80 Death Star Droid on that same card back, you could probably double that price. It'd probably be at $1,000 plus, is my guess. But $519 took that one home, and I thought that was a very fair price, just given that it was a slightly yellowed blister. This was probably the steal of this round of auctions in my mind. I would have paid this all day long. This is the same card back, the free Neon Numb clear blister Luke Hoth, AFA 80. And again, as I talked about in past Hakes update videos, that 75 subgrade for the card probably held it down. The value code was $700 to $1,000. It sold for $558. That is a bargain price for a Luke Hoth clear blister Return of the Jedi card back. I would have paid that in a heartbeat, and I'm really glad I did not get on Hakes.com to bid on Wednesday night. I just didn't want to spend any money. And I'm glad, because I know that if I saw it close to this price, I would have put a bid in. So congrats to whoever bought that. I thought that was a very fair price. Next up, Luke Skywalker, 65 back B, AFA 80. Again, it had a 75 sub score, but it still sold for $1,770. $1,770 for that one. So pretty incredible what the Luke Farm Boys mint on card go for, no matter what the card back. Next up was a Han Solo, 65 back A. I thought this was a steal of a deal. AFA 80, it sold for $590. $590 clear blister, 65 back. Woo! I would have paid that all day long, too. I think that was a very, very fair price, and it came in well below the value codes as well. This one surprised me at the upper end. It was an AFA 85 Ben Kenobi 65 back B. It was unpunched with no price sticker, clear blister again, so that, you know those are going to go high. I wasn't expecting that high, though. It sold for $13.17, and the value code was $700 to $1,000. I knew it would sell for well above $700, but I was not expecting $1,300. I was thinking maybe $900 to $1,000, but $1,300 took that one home. And again, as we've talked about, it's an AFA 85, clear blister Return of the Jedi. There are big money collectors out there. They don't care if they spend $1,000 or they spend $1,500. They just want that clear blister, and they just want an AFA 85. So that's the case with this one. Someone just bid up for that one. Got some beautiful Yodas that sold. Absolutely amazing Yodas. This was the Clipper Offer, Return of the Jedi, 65 back A, clear blister, AFA 85, unpunched, no price sticker. That is a mouthful, and that is an incredible, incredible item. The value code was $1,000 to $2,000. It sold for $18.17. Worth every penny. Worth every penny. I would have paid that all day long. That was a great, great price in my mind. The 65 back B, on the other hand, the standard U.S. release, and it was punched as well. And it was a clear blister, but it sold for $3,764. So I don't know what's going on there. I mean, to me, I'd rather have this one. I'd rather have the unpunched Clipper card back versus this 65 back B. I'm sure it has to do with rarity among Yoda collectors. It's just harder to find on a clear blister. But to me, I'd rather have this foreign card back rather than this one and paying half the price. I mean, $3,700 is insane to me. I have no way I'd pay that, but congrats whoever did. Next up was an AFA 80 65 back C. That one sold for $2017. It did have a price sticker and it was punched. So people are willing to pay up for Yoda's Return of the Jedi card backs clear blister. That's what I learned in this auction. Just an incredible price on some of these items. Next, it was a yellow blister 65 back C Boba Fett, AFA 85 though. It was punched. The value code was 5 to 10, which I was like, what? 5 to 10? Where are you getting 5 to 10 from? No way I'd pay that. And I know Hakes, their YouTube channel, they do watch my videos, so I'm not insulting Hakes, okay? Hakes does a great job. I love them, and I'm going to continue to buy from them, I'm sure. So I'm not criticizing you, but I do think 5 to 10 was way too high. That sold for $25.96. Now, if this had been a clear blister, I could see 5 to 10. I could see 5 to 10, but not for a yellow blister in my mind. 5 to 10 was way too high. But, you know, I was thinking maybe 35, somewhere in that ballpark. But $25.96 was very fair. I mean, you can't get an AFA 85 yellow or clear blister Boba Fett for that kind of money, usually. And $25.96 was a great buy in my mind for that one. This one on the other end of the range was this one was a 65 back B clear blister Bosk CAS 85 plus. Now it sold for $18.47. $18.47. I don't know what happened on this. There must have been two really wealthy bidders that said, "I will not be denied." No, sir, I shall not be denied. And that price is insane. 700 to 1,000. This is one of those cases where I 100% agree with the value code from Hakes. You know, maybe 1,000, but even that to me seems high. But 1847 seems like complete insanity to me. So again, no offense if you happen to be watching this and you were the one who bought this. Congratulations, it's an incredible item. But 1847 is a big number. I mean, I've got a clear blister AFA 80 for this card back, and I think I paid $300 for it ungraded, and then got it graded after that. And you know, to each their own. You know, I'm not. You know, everyone can spend their money differently, but to me, that is a really big number. Next up was another number that really shocked me. I was thinking this value code was probably maybe a little low, but I was thinking like $600 to $700 is probably about right for an AFA 85 clear blister 65 back A Zuckuss. Now the key is 85, and the key is that it's a clear blister, unpunched, no price sticker. That's what these high-end collectors want, and that's what happens, and that's how these bidding wars start, and that's how you get to $2,361. $2,361 for a Return of the Jedi 65 back A Zuckuss. So, again, you know, it's an incredible number. I don't know what happened there other than it just came down to people with deep pockets that just would not back down. And I don't know if we'll ever see that kind of price again for a standard 65 back A. Admittedly high grade and admittedly clear blister, but that's just an insane number. Next up was a 65 back A Jawa, and it was AFA 85. Now it was punched, but it was a clear blister. And you know, to me, the final winning bid of $649, dead on the money. That's exactly what it's worth to me. I got a buddy who bought this exact item. It might have been even the same grade, and he paid that money. He paid $650 exactly. So $650 for that is kind of right in line with market, and a good value relative to some of these other clear blister Return of the Jedis that sold. Next up is the alternate image card back for Luke Gunner. This is the 77A Luke Gunner card, 75 plus grade with a yellow blister. The value code was $2,000 to $5,000, which I 100% agree with. I was expecting $2,500 for this one. It sold for $2,460. That's right in line with market, very fair price, given where these sell on Facebook even. Next up was a Tri-Logo Han Solo Carbonite, last 17, AFA 80. And it was a clear blister too. That's a beauty. And you know, I know that Tri-Logos in general do tend to stay clear blister, but it looks so nice when in your mind you're picturing the Power of the Force card back, the U.S. release, where it's always yellowed. So this to me was really attractive, and it sold for $824. $824 is a really good price for that item, I think. A very good value. Next up was a 77A back Hoth Stormtrooper hard torso. So this is the hard plastic torso. And this one was a clear blister as well. Unpunched, no price sticker. $720 was the final winning price on that, so just above the upper end of the value code. I think it's worth every penny of that. It was an AFA 80 plus, and awfully tough to find that one. You don't find Return of the Jedi Hoth Stormtroopers with a clear blister very often, so I think that was a very fair price. Next up, we got a couple of Top Toys Argentinian figures. This was the Darth Vader. Now, these were lower grade. It was an AFA 60, but it sold for $649. $649. I think that's a very fair price. I did think that $1,000 to $2,000, I could see maybe $1,000 it hitting, but $649 is well below that number. I thought that was a great buy for that one. And then the Stormtrooper, same card, Top Toys, that was an AFA 50. So again, it was a low grade. The value code on that was $200 to $400. I was thinking, it might be a little low. That might be a little low. Now, this is the most common one, and the figure score of 40 is what held it back. You can see right here on the arm where it's discolored. That's discolored pretty heavily. So obviously the aesthetic quality, the aesthetic displayability of it was hampered by that, and it got a figure score of 40. So that really hurt it. But the other two sub-scores were great. It was an 85, 80, and just a figure score of 40. So to me, I think that's a bargain buy. That's a bargain buy. It's really displays a lot better than an AFA 50 overall. 713, I think that's kind of like right in line with market, and I certainly would have no problem displaying that one in my collection. Next up, a few Power of the Force to finish things out was a Luke Stormtrooper 92 back Power of the Force, yellow blister, obviously, punched with a price sticker, AFA 85. And that one sold for $3,895. That is just a big, big number. The value code was probably right. I mean, $2,000 to $5,000. I didn't think it would hit $5,000, but I didn't think it would hit $3,800 either. I was thinking kind of $2,500 to maybe $3,000. So it went well above that number. Next up was an A-Wing pilot, and this one was a yellow blister, CAS 85 plus, unpunched, no price sticker. $700 to $1,000 was about right for the value code, and it sold for $827. I think that was a very fair deal. Last 17 figure, the blister was not too yellowed on this one, or at least it didn't present too yellowed. I think that was a good buy at $827 for that one. Power of the Force 92 back Vader AFA 80 yellowed blister. This was a great buy in my mind. This one sold for $785. Now it was punched, and it did have the ugly Toys R Us price sticker, as you can see there, though. But we talk about this one all the time on the channel from eBay sales, and I was thinking $900 to $1,000 all day long. It only came in at $785. That was a good buy. That was a really good buy. Finally was an AFA 80 plus yellow blister EV99. The value code on that was $700 to $1,000. I don't know. I don't know if that's a fair price. It sold for $1039. That seems a little high to me, just given that even on eBay you could probably get this for about that or less. Probably more like $750 to $850. But it was an 80 plus, and it did display very nicely, but it did seem just a tad high. It's not nearly as high as some of the others we looked at. But I mean, to me, that Bosk and then that Zuckuss were probably the two most egregious, followed by that Yoda that sold for $3,000 plus. But in general, what I learned from this batch is that the Revenge of the Jedi proof card market is alive and well. It's bounced off the lows. Clear blisters and AFA 85s and above for mint on card clear blisters, you're going to be paying a big, big number. That's what I learned. So again, I'm going to focus on the next Hakes auction. Assuming I have any money, I would probably focus on AFA 80s and below, and try to sneak in there on some of those other items like ESB card backs, things like that are fairly common, but would be nice additions to my existing collection. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this look back, all three videos that covered Hakes. Hakes did a great job, and I'm really impressed with their work and with the prices they achieved in a very dicey economic environment. They did an excellent job, and congratulations to all of you who actually bought something. Thanks again for watching, and I'll be back soon.